Short answer, yes, full stop. Valorant is one of those slow-paced strategy team shooter games. Each game is estimated to be around 30 to 45 minutes. The gameplay is a search and destroy, where the attacking team has to plant the bomb and let the bomb tick down till it detonates, and if they succeed, they earn 1 point. And the defending team is supposed to stop the attacking team from planting the bomb or defusing the bomb before it detonates, and if they succeed, they also gain 1 point. It's first to 13, but if the second to last game ends in a tie, with the score being 12 to 12, the game goes into overtime. That overtime goes on until the other team wins 2 rounds in a row, so it could definitely go until the scoreboard is 45 to 45 until a team finally wins 2 rounds in a row, ending the game at 45 to 47. It sounds insane, but I promise there's a way to draw. It doesn't sound the best, but both teams could vote for one if they wanted to. The game sounds simple enough, but the strategy really comes in when you give each character their own unique abilities and roles. Valorant has 4 roles: Duelist, Sentinel, Initiator, and Controllers. Each role plays well into each other, and it forces others to actually play as a team to win the game. It's actually something I really do enjoy about the game. It forces you to play as a team, and very rarely can you just go in guns blazing without a thought in your head and come out on top. There is definitely a deep level of strategy to keep the players hooked onto the game, but that inevitably introduces some problems. The problems don't lie within the lengthy match times, the deep levels of strategy, or the unique abilities and roles of each character. It comes from the player base. In multiplayer games, toxicity is inevitable. There will always be someone who wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and decides to make it everyone's problem, and that can leave a bad taste in everyone else's mouth, making their day worse. And in order to keep a community healthy, filled with kindness and respect, you implement a report system. A system for any player to call out another player due to reasons born from malice or discrimination. These reports get sent out to the customer service team, which then gets looked over, and then they decide how the player gets punished. With that being said, one of the biggest and longest problems that's been going on in Valorant is the absurd amount of toxic players. Players who just hate to hate, who blame their teammates because they're a woman or a person of color or a person of a different sexual orientation. Now again, players like these are inevitable in any sort of multiplayer game, and with how unfortunate that fact is, there's an active act between all game devs to keep those sorts of players out of their game. But from what I've seen, coming from a basically retired Valorant player myself, this level of toxicity hasn't gone down. In fact, I think it's only gotten worse. That may be my own experience with the game, but I personally haven't seen a decrease in these types of players. I've had plenty of cases where I report a toxic player, only to never see them get punished in any sort of way. Normally, customer support teams would send an in-game message or email out to the player stating that the report was looked over and the player was punished, whether that be a ban or a timeout for a certain amount of time. But that's also not to say that I haven't seen any of my reports actually get looked over and handled. I mean, I definitely have, but that doesn't seem to intimidate the toxic player base that much anyway. The only thing I could possibly imagine as to why that is the punishment that was given to them just wasn't severe enough. It didn't teach them to be a normal and respectful human being. There probably wasn't much of a loss when those players got reported. It probably felt as though they were only slapped on the wrist and were given a finger wag and a "don't do that again or else" kind of vibe. And honestly, it saddens me to see how the player base just hasn't gotten any better. I really did enjoy the gameplay. I love making my strategic plays with my team, and the suspense when the bomb is ticking down, slowly preparing to detonate, and either winning or losing that round, and just being able to go again and bring that score back. It was genuinely a super fun game to play, but the player base just ruined it for me. And some of you out there can say, oh, well, you can just grow some balls and take it. They're just people online, they can't really hurt you. Just turn your computer off and go outside. And while you may be right, that doesn't mean that this behavior should continue at all. Yes, you can just turn the game off and do something else. Yes, you can just play a different game. Yes, you can just take the toxicity on the chin and walk it off. But that doesn't solve the fact that it's actively still happening and behavior like this isn't getting punished properly. And I believe that that's Valorant's biggest downfall. Their lack of moderation and strict rules within their player base just leads to a super unhealthy and toxic environment in the long term. I believe I'm a big example of that actually. That's why I'm pretty much a retired Valorant player. The toxicity is just something that steers me away from the game. and I'm sure others feel the same way. There's just too much of it, and it's so rooted deep into the game that it just leaves a bad image. So much so that I feel like it cancels out the fun strategies, the overwhelming victories, the cool new characters, and the thrill of just, hitting a super cool shot on an enemy. I think the only reason I could ever go back to Valorant is just the sheer change of attitude that the community brings both to the game and each other. If the Valorant community could just be kinder, more understanding with each other, and just be a normal human being with respect and integrity, could potentially bring me back to Valorant. But who knows? Maybe I'll come back one day and maybe I'll start playing Valorant again. But anyways, that's all I really wanted to talk about. If you liked what you saw, you should definitely hit subscribe and like. It helps me out a ton and encourages me to keep going on this whole content creating thing. And you should also join the Discord and follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. Twitch is somewhere where you can see a different side of me that you don't normally see on here. Links are in the description. Either way, I'm out of here. See y'all soon.
Remaining. Left. Hostile removed. I knew your every move. It was sad watching you